There are many things that you can do from dairy products, such as cheese, whipped cream, and ice cream, and also butter. For years, I've been making butter just as something to do that's fun when I'm bored. Normally, I do this around fall season. It's a great thing to do when it's cold outside. I would like to show you all how you can make butter at home too, with an extremely easy process, although it might require a little bit of elbow grease. So first, we're going to start by adding about 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. So first, we want to pour this straight into the jar. For us, we're going to use a jar. You can also use a stand mixer or just a whisk yourself if you really wanted to. And there you go, that's about 1.5 cups. From here, you're going to want to put a lid on top of your jar, and you're going to want to tighten that lid as tight as you can, and you're going to start to shake. So I used to do this a couple years ago when COVID started, but the first time I did this, I think I was in middle school. And it was about a school trip. We went out to a farm, and we had a big circle of people, and we just passed the jar from one person to the other as we all mixed it together. It was a lot of fun, and as you can see though, it does take a lot of effort when you have to do it by yourself. For this though, we have already prepared one, so normally you would keep shaking that until eventually it becomes a whipped cream, but for us, I've already prepared one before this where I did shake it until it became whipped cream, and eventually it became butter. So this is how it looks. It looks with all this liquid in there, but you can see the butter. The butter is actually surrounded by buttermilk, and it's quite cool because all the heavy whipping cream does separate between the butter and the buttermilk. The US Census data and the Simmons National Consumer Survey have actually reported that 297.78 million Americans used butter in 2022. As well as there's a helpful thing that you can do with your buttermilk. According to Southern Living, there's about over 35 recipes you can do with this buttermilk. So for us, we're going to pour most of this buttermilk out. I'm gonna pour it out into my sink over here, off camera. There we go. I don't like using the buttermilk, but that's okay. And I'm gonna get all this butter out. The butter looks kind of like some cheese curds you would get normally, and this is where you have to kind of use your hands. It's a little bit gross, a little bit messy, but that's okay. I'm going to wash off our butter, and now we have water in there. This is just to get off all this excess buttermilk. You're going to use your hand, and you're going to try and like scoop all this butter into kind of a ball, and you'll notice as I'm squeezing it, all of this buttermilk is exiting the butter. Yeah, you're going to want to do this. At this point, if you were to add salt, you would normally kind of just put like a hole in this, and you would pour all your salt that you want. I like unsalted butter for cooking, and that's normally what my family has, so we're not going to add salt for this, but that's normally what you would do if you did want to add salt. We're going to continue. So now we have all of this excess, and we're going to pour this excess out promptly. Add more water, and we'll probably do this at least one more time. As you notice, the water is already practically clear, so you don't really have to do this much more. It's basically done, but we're gonna do it just one more time, and then we'll call it good. Here we go. And I would say that's basically good. So now you have this big clump of butter, and there's two ways to seal it normally. You can either grab saran wrap, put this down on the saran wrap and roll it up, or if you have a butter container like this, you can put the butter right in there. It's a little full, so normally I would just scrape off whatever you don't want, and I'm gonna leave it here for now, and I'll put that somewhere else. So this is what it looks like. This is our butter container. You need to fill this part of the butter container up with water first. So I'm filling it up with water real quick over here. See, there's a little line over here in this for the butter, and you can go ahead and put this right there, and that leaves a perfect seal. So just give me 1 second. So, that is how you make butter. Although butter is probably perceived as a much more difficult process than you saw here, it's quite easy, and anyone can do it, as long as they have one ingredient, and it takes 3 simple steps: getting your ingredients, churning the butter, and packaging the butter. Hopefully, from this speech, you are now able to make butter from your own at home. I believe it's important to try and make things from scratch sometimes. As the consumer, we are more disconnected from the products we eat nowadays. I really hope you liked this, and I hope you can try to make butter at your home as well.